Okay, this is a delicious little recipe for chicken breast roasted with butternut squash, or in this case we're going to be using an ordinary squash because we didn't find any butternut at the market today. Again, I'm going to make this for 2 people, and I'm going to make it for 2 people in one bowl. Fresh chicken breast from the market store. Now in this case I've got the bone on. Again, your preference, but normally I would say keep the bone on. I think it adds a little bit of flavour. Okay. Now what I want to do, keep the skin on. We want a decent bit of fat coming through. And then I want to put this in a bowl. Let's put your salt. Some fresh marjoram or oregano, or some oregano, put some dried in. It's delicious. A little bit of olive oil. Just want to give this a wee bit more fat, and also just to help marinate it just a little bit. Now just keep that to one side for the moment while I prepare squash, new bowl, chicken. Now let's clean up this chopping board. Get the knife washed and cleaned. We don't really want cross contamination. Bit of a small board for this, but never mind. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be quartering this. So that is a slightly better flavour and ease of use, but what I want to be doing in this case is I'm going to be taking off a lot of the skin, because these types of squashes, the skin is very thick, and what I'm after is the flavour inside. With the butternut, it's a much thinner skin. You don't need to be taking off the skin, but again, it's up to you. I'm making this tonight for my wife. She is not all that keen on squash skin. She doesn't eat it anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, no point in having it. What I am going to be doing, I'm going to be using all of this skin later, in a bit of and all of these bits, in making some stock. Which, so that's nice and cleaned up. It's a very tasty squash, this. But if you want that nice nutty flavour, what you want to be doing is adding a little bit of sesame oil. In a moment I'm going to do that. Sesame oil does give a deliciously burnt, nutty type flavour to foods. Okay, I'm chopping in half, and you can see in here lots of seeds to be taken out. So I'm going to get those taken out, and I'm going to start slicing it in a moment. So just to take the seeds out, I'm going to use a spoon. I'm going to do it into a bag, because I'm not going to be using the seeds for anything, but some people do. Some people like to roast the seeds and then eat them. Okay, whatever takes your fancy. But just a spoon here will take that out, take the pieces out, and you begin to see it's quite a thin squash now. All the chunkiness of its weight before. And the squash does not necessarily go very far. So, we've got our de-seeded squash now, and what I want to be doing is thin slices. Right the way across. Again, make sure you cut yourself a nice sharp knife to be working with. As you're cutting through this and you discover you've got a woody squash, and throw it out and do something else. Now this would happily make 4 or 5 dishes. Depends how much vegetarian you want with your meal. dish itself, typically you'll use 1/4 of a butternut squash and to 1 chicken breast. Okay, so I'm going to be using Pyrex dish, but I do recommend that you make this, when you make it in individual portions, make it in double thick foil, and make sure it's thick foil. You can put it into the dish, and it's like a lot easier, you don't have as much washing up to do, or it could just go straight onto the baking tray. What you want to be doing is placing your chicken, it's already marinated nicely in there. Put one on one side, one on the other side, and then we've got plenty of space here. Let's just get some of that delicious juices over here. And what I want to be doing is snugly putting in these pieces of squash. And it's going to be surrounded, so the squash flavour is going to ooze through everything. And as you can see here, I'm going to fill this, but you don't need to fill it with this much squash. If this were your entire meal, no starch, no other veggies with it, that's great. That'll work very nicely. And just make sure you're snugly coming around, the skin is still exposed, so that will get nice and crispy. Okay, and we've got a beautiful piece of beautiful dish here. It's going to be wonderful. Fantastic. And of course, what would it be like without a bit of chilli? I don't want mine too hot, so I'm going to take the seeds out. So only if you actually like your dishes hot do you want to be leaving the seeds in. Okay, and for those of you that haven't used chilli before, then whatever you do, don't handle the chilli and then touch your eye. There's nothing worse. Now, you could, if you don't like chilli at all, you could use a red pepper. One thing you do get, of course, is the contrasting colour, which is delightful. So I don't want the seeds, I want to move those out of the way. Okay. And then finely chop the chilli. Okay, just half a chilli is sufficient for me. You might want to put more on. I'm not going to. Relying on my missus. Like too much chilli, I'm just scattering this over the top of the chicken now, so that the chilli flavours come out. And what I want to be doing next is looking at ways in which I can just add a little bit of oil. So I'm going to smatter over a little bit of olive oil now, just over the top of the dish. Give it a little bit more fat to be working with. As I mentioned before, because I'm not using a butternut squash, what I want to be doing today, I'm just going to add a few drops of sesame oil. That will give me that nice massive flavour. Tiny sprinkling of oregano and marjoram. Those flavours really oozing out to be absolutely delicious. Okay, and that's ready to go into a hot oven. The oven should be at 200, and then it'll take about 35 minutes roughly in the middle of the oven. And just before you put it in the oven, if you want this nice and creamy, what you want to be doing is pouring some cream over. I'm using a sour cream, a cultured sour cream. I prefer using cultured sour cream or creme fraiche pork cream. Get it over the squash, not over the chicken. Okay. And dollops of that. That will really blend with that. If you're not using cultured sour cream or creme fraiche, use double cream. So sour cream, creme fraiche, trust me, it's a cook's best friend. Creme fraiche in Singapore is far more expensive, so I am only using this light sour cream, my small element to reducing the fat in this. And then in the middle of a preheated oven, set at 200. And that'll take 30 to 35 minutes to cook. You want to be checking it at about 30 minutes time. I've just set the timer so it'll remind me to have a look at it. And there we have the roasted chicken with squash, creamy squash, and just taking it out of the oven. I just want to check that the chicken in particular is cooked, because this is chicken on the bone, and that takes a little bit longer. Just poke it with a knife, and any blood comes out, back in the oven. Also check the squash. If you've cut it too thickly, it's not going to cut through at all, and you'll need to be putting them back in the oven. So give yourself another good 10 minutes if you need it, and if you want to brown the top, mash that onto the grill. Enjoy!